living election. This is, as every national federal election, this will be a referendum on the economy and who's best placed to take Australia forward. It's wonderful, it's serendipitous, it's sublime serendipity to have Prue on the show, former one of John Howard's esteemed biographers. It was John Howard who coined the phrase, "Who do you trust?" In the 2004 election. And I think that is actually one of the key questions for the Australian electorate. Who do you trust? And I think despite the cost of living crisis and the persisting pain which Australian households are feeling, the government has a good story to tell. The economy is starting to turn the corner. We've had one interest rate cut and hopefully more to come. Real wages have been moving again, and critically, inflation has come down. Inflation has moderated, unlike many places across the world, and really against the economic textbook, because what we expect when inflation moderates, as it has in Australia, is to see unemployment shoot up. That hasn't happened here. But on the flip side, PK, there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk involved with the prospect of Peter Dutton Prime Minister. There's a lot of risk in terms of the economy. The Liberals, under Dutton and with Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor in witness protection there, they haven't done the hard policy yards on the economy. They don't have serious economic policies apart from, a $20,000 subsidy to businesses for long lunches.
Come on.
They oppose the wage increases which Australian workers have been enjoying over the past few years. They oppose the tax cuts,
right,
the tax cuts which are proposed in the budget. And they can't be trusted on Medicare. We know that Liberals in their DNA don't believe in Medicare. They tried Jim Chalmers. Jim Chalmers has described this coming election as the battle of the burbs. And he's right. That's where the election's going to be won and lost, mainly in Victoria and New South Wales. And just to come back to the tax cuts very briefly, the Liberals are saying, that it's not worth a lot. Prue's rehashed that line. But actually, when you total it all up, this is actually significant amounts of money. When we're talking about a few $1,000s over the course of a year, that's enough. That's 3-4 months worth of grocery bills. This is that might be a year's worth of school fees at a low fee, for instance, Catholic tertiary education. So these are it's not an insignificant amount of money, particularly in the current context. And Prue also talked about ideology. I have to say that if you have a plan to cut 41,000 jobs from the Commonwealth public sector, I know no other word apart from ideology, which could be driving that, which could be the motivating driving factor
how
behind
about efficiency?
that. And
what's wrong with efficiency? Oh, sorry, maybe that's not an ideology. Maybe it is an ideology, but efficiency is what that's all about. I mean, 41,000 additional public servants in a country that is struggling with productivity is pretty hard to explain, and I think Middle Australia out there doing it tough in small business probably recognises that it's time there was a break on the growth in the public sector.
But Middle Australia need to call Centrelink. Middle Australia need essential services. Middle Australia, who particularly citizens of
I mean, that's just nonsense.
At this vantage point, Prue, I'm not putting
Nick.
myself forward as alternative Prime Minister. Peter Dutton is, and I think it's a legitimate question for the Australian public to ask. These 41,000 jobs, where specifically are they going from, and how will they impact on the essential services that we expect government to provide?
It is. If I can, I've enjoyed very much watching you spar, but I will get in here just to ask this final question, and that's first to you, Nick. Do you think that the Trump factor will play a role in this election, and what might it look like?
It's hard to escape the tsunami that is the Trump administration at the moment. Our steel and aluminium exports have already been impacted, and I think the government have done a good job in standing up for the Australian national interest. And critically, health is going to be front and centre of this campaign, and we know that American Big Pharma is out there with our PBS. One of our treasured national institutions, along with Medicare. It's like Vegemite in the national psyche, and US Big Pharma are after our PBS. So the question then really is, PK, who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand up for the Australian national interest in the face of Donald Trump? Full credit to him. He's pursuing an America First strategy. But if that's the world we're living in, then we need someone who's going to put Australia first, who's going to protect our steel and aluminium exports, who's going to protect our PBS, and who's not going to bag the government. We had Peter Dutton out there calling Anthony Albanese limp-wristed. Well, he apologised for that language straight away. Now, that kind of language and it's a telltale sign. When leaders need to call other people weak, when they need to use phrases like limp-wristed, my experience, PK, with these kind of characters, it's not the hallmark of a strong leader. Strong leaders don't need to use that kind of phraseology. Strong leaders don't need to accuse people of this and that. And strong leaders will stand on Team Australia and will not be on the side of Team Trump and Team Elon Musk during this election. Okay. So that's the